Hey guys, welcome back to Believe in Eagles. We are coming off of a Thursday night football win against the Washington Commanders. I'm here with my dad, Mike Mayock. Hi Dad, how you doing?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
Good, except not that good because I bet on the game last night. This show is always brought to you by Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. I bet the Eagles total points last night and it was off by 1 point. So if Jake Elliott had made even just the extra point, I would have won, but I didn't. So I'm going to try again this weekend. We need to make up for that. So head over to betonline.com with me, and we'll try to get my beginner's luck going again.
So you mean you bet the over on points scored by the Eagles?
Correct.
So you needed 28 plus?
No, I needed 27.
Gotcha.
Right? What was the score?
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, I needed
26,
26.
26-18.
Yeah, I needed 27. So those extra points are brutal.
Oh, he killed you. Two
Wait,
field goals.
Actually, I'm confused by that. How and why did he miss that? And are kickers allowed to have a bad game? Because I feel like it's been happening a lot. Remember Deebo Samuel tried to fight his kicker last week, and then the kicker won the game for them. Are they allowed to have a bad game?
Here, it's really interesting, honey, because kickers have gotten so good over the last 10 to 12, 15 years that if you're not about an 85 to 90% field goal kicker with an ability to be at least 75% over 50 yards,
Mm-hmm.
you can't play in the league anymore. So if you have a bad game or two, and I used to do this with the Raiders, a lot of times we'd have a guy on our practice squad that was a talented kicker, right? Because you're just trying to give your kicker a little competition in practice,
Okay.
and you're trying to make sure that. And we were fortunate because we had Daniel Carlson.
I was just gonna say I had never worried about kicking before because we had, what did we call him? Money Carlson, something crazy, something funny.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I think he was the 6th-round pick of the Vikings, and they cut him.
I know, crazy, but he was so good for the Raiders, right? Is he still playing right now?
Oh yeah, he's playing at a high level. And my point is that there is some movement amongst place kickers around the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
and there isn't much tolerance anymore for place kickers that cost you games.
Smaller room for error.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of talented place kickers out there, and Washington's had a few in and out this year with some stuff, but it's a shame for Lee Mayock because Philadelphia with Jake Elliott. He's been so consistent, so they'll be okay with him with one bad game.
Yeah,
but if he compounds that in the weeks to come, Howie will be bringing kickers in for workouts.
and I've heard across the league that it's really easy for kickers to get in their own head. Once they have a bad game, it could be a very tumultuous situation in their own brain. So hopefully this is just a fluke and he can just keep it moving.
You know what it's a lot like? It's a lot like golfers.
Oh.
and foul shots. Seriously, there's a lot of mental stuff. And the best golfers in the world can get in a mental funk and lose some confidence. And they go from being the top 5 or 6 players in the world to, even if they only lose a stroke or 2 or 3 a round, they don't make the cut. So there's some real correlations, I think, mind game wise, between golfers and kickers.
Isn't that called the yips?
Yeah.
You know how I know that? Because you had a book on your desk called How to Get Over the Yips in Golfing.
And trust me, I got bigger issues.
You have a book like that, though. It was in your office and it was always out. So I think you were always checking it.
That game is so hard.
But it's your favorite right now.
It's all I got left. I'm 100 years old.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, so you watched the whole game last night? It was a little late for you, I know.
It was really late for me. And the only reason I stayed up is because my daughter has a podcast.
Okay, so take us through it. What were you impressed by?
Well, I thought the Eagles coaching staff did a hell of a job because they were facing a good coaching staff and a team that was, loaded this year. So I thought offensively, Kellen Moore stayed consistent with the run game. And even though it looked tough early in the game, um, if you got a guy like Saquon Barkley and an O-line like the Eagles have, you got to keep at it. You just got to keep chopping wood, and sooner or later that will pay off. And it did in the second half in a big way. And I think the elements that go along with that is when you consistently can run the ball and force them to honor it, it makes Jalen a better quarterback, both on the RPOs and the play action and his run game. So I was impressed with their ability to stick with the run game, even though they got, AJ saying, I'm open every play. And you got Devontae Smith. You got two of the best wideouts in the league and the tight end. I give them credit for kind of sticking to it. Those wideouts will always make plays for you.
They also had Jahan Dotson chomping at the bit for some action against his old team, too.
Well, then he needs to not drop the second pass that was thrown at him. If you want some action, catch the damn ball.
Fair.
They threw to him early, and I think they did it on purpose to get him a taste.
Yeah.
But then he dropped the next one, and that's kind of like, come on, man.
You get one shot when you have other wideouts around you, you
got all that other talent around. You got to take advantage of every opportunity. So anyway, on offense, I thought Saquon was great. I thought Jalen was smart, was patient. The O-line solid. There was some pressure on the quarterback, but that's okay. It was all solid. Defensively, you and I have talked about Fangio and my feelings about him since preseason. And I told you as the season went on, they're going to get better and better. And I think, here's what I think. 98 is a beast, Jalen Carter. He's becoming one of
the dogs are dogging. Ew! Speaking of your Georgia hat, is that just because you're in Georgia?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down here in St. Simon's Island, which is like every house has Georgia Bulldog flags, and they love college football more than any place in the world. It's SEC territory. They're less Atlanta Falcon fans, but everybody, male, female, they're all Georgia fans.
So you're bandwagoning them now.
You know what? Saturday afternoon's kind of fun. People are walking around with their flags and this and that and beeping horns. And I like Kirby Smart, the head coach. Mm-hmm. I know Kirby. I used to go to their practices every year when I was a GM. And
I like Uga.
The Uga thing is, did I ever tell you the story about Uga the first time I ever did a game?
Didn't you have to interview him?
Well, no, what it was I was the sideline reporter for CBS.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Athens, Georgia. And I was looking for, topics for sideline reports, which drove me nuts. I wanted to talk football, not, interview somebody's mom. But anyway.
No disrespect to anybody's mother.
Nah. I'm down on the field before the game, walking around, talking to people. And to my astonishment, there was a doggy mausoleum built into the stadium, meaning that all the dead Uggas were buried right into the wall. And they had inscriptions where they were buried. And it was like Ugga number 3, 1946 to 1957, SEC record 73-4. And Ugga number 7, and then it was like Ugga number 7, same thing. The record, the SEC championships.
That's nice.
And then they probably had a dry spell because Ugga number whatever, all it had in quotes was not bad for a dog.
What? They didn't want the record on there?
I think I remember that correctly, but I'm old. Don't let any Georgia fans get mad at me. But I was just like, I thought it was the funniest thing I ever saw.
Did you report on it?
I think I did.
Wow, you've come a long way.
So now I'm sitting here on St. Simon's Island, which we absolutely love. They're Georgia fans, and I'm a BC guy, and BC had a big win last week against Syracuse, and they play SMU this week, who's a top 20 team.
Oh,
so
cool.
Another big week.
Mm-hmm.
But Mandy and I got the Georgia caps, and we decided if we're down here, we might as well have a beer and watch the game on Saturdays with the Georgia caps on.
You might be wearing a melon hat if I remembered to send it to you.
Yeah, that led to my choice.
I think I've told you for 2 weeks that I would send you these awesome hats that I love that they're so you and Mandy would both love them. They're amazing. They're like luxury hats that don't get sweaty or smelly or stain. And so they'd be perfect for literally where you are right now, like out and about in the weather, in golfing, do whatever. And I have neglected to send them to you for 2 weeks now.
I've been running out to the mail every day just because I knew my daughter would send me the hats she promised to send me.
Well,
And I'm coming back almost weeping from the mailbox, like I didn't get my hat.
okay, well, if you
And
don't
that's
trust
all.
me to do it soon, you can go to melon.com, melin.com, or you can just wait for me to do it. But
Yeah, if you're going to send me a hat, I'll probably be wearing Georgia and BC gear forever.
okay. Well, sorry about
Anyway,
that. It's on my list,
no, you're
but
good.
like there's a lot of things happened this week, and it's on my list. Okay. But back to Jalen Carter, a dog, like for lack of a better word that we've been saying.
He's becoming one of the best defensive tackles in the league. You could see it in college. He's conditioned well. He plays a lot of snaps. He's playing at a high level. I'm really fired up about him becoming a dominant force for years. The other guy you and I have already talked about a bunch is Zach Bond.
NFC Defensive Player of the Week last week, and brought it again this week. I love this kid. I mean, to come like, so this will be a little bit of a side note, but did you hear him at like after the game, the Cowboys game, the presser that he gave, how he was just saying that he never really felt like he's been doing things the right way and he's always been the same player, but he was a no-name guy coming out of the Saints. And someone asked him like, what's the difference? And he just said he felt like he fit in with Eagles, like they're using him in ways that help both the team and him. And and then so there's Zach Bond feeling like he's like found his spot with the Eagles. And then I've been watching Saquon Barkley too last night after the game. He's on the after show and the fans are chanting, "Thank you, Giants." Right. Yeah. So that's another player that was in a different system at a different place that didn't feel utilized the right way. They both were playing their game, doing the right things, like playing the part, just not feeling appreciated or just confused. Like Saquon has said, he like being back in Philly has given him his confidence back. And it made me think of this quote that I'm obsessed with. And it's that you can be the whole package and the perfect package just delivered to the wrong address. And that just always resonates with me, and it makes me feel better about certain like situations and things. And I feel like that's what's going on with Zach Bond and Saquon Barkley with the Eagles. And it's just so nice to see because you can tell their confidence is up. They're playing like themselves, but they always have been. Like they've just been doing things the right way, and now they finally found the right fit. And it's just so nice to see.
So you summed it up in the last sentence with the word I was going to use, which is the fit. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think there are two things in everything you just said, and I think you're spot on. The two things are, number one, the fit, and number two, having somebody believe in you.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful vibe when you go somewhere and say Vic Fangio grabs Zach Bond, who feels like he's tried to do everything the right way his whole career, but it's never quite. He's been a really good special teams player, a solid backup. But in his heart of heart, he probably thinks he's a starter and a high-level player. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, he gets this old, grizzled defensive coordinator. Says, Zach, come here. Look, you're going to start for me. I believe in you. This is what I see. This is how I'm going to use you. Now it's up to you. Do you think Zach Ball went home to his wife and said, "Oh my God, I've been waiting years for this"? Mm-hmm. So it's to your point. It's fit and having somebody with some power. Mm-hmm. GMs, coaches, having somebody that believes in you in that building. And that's what Saquon has, and that's what Bond has. And, they drafted those two rookie defensive backs, Quinyon Mitchell, who played really well, Cooper DeJean, who played really well. Those two guys are changing some things on the back end also.
Reed Blankenship, too.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, did you see Cooper and Reed wore their T-shirts that said exciting whites on them? Do you know meaning like exciting white players?
Oh God.
So it was so funny. They walked in together wearing their matching shirts. It was so good. But thank God they showed up. Like, because if you can't wear that to a game and
All right.
then get beat.
So was that their fit on the way in? Is that what
Yeah.
you call a fit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your fit is that. My fit is how do you fit into the organization? But
Correct. But
you're a
I get
clothing fit.
both.
Yeah, you can. You can.
Yeah, but I'm obsessed with Zach Bond and that whole situation. And the Eagles defense last night was just so fun to watch. And everyone was saying like, okay, Eagles defense, they look better. They've been winning, but they haven't faced an offense like the Washington Commanders. Well, now they
Yeah.
have. Like, so that kind of legitimizes things a little bit. What did
I
you see out of them though? Because I know you texted me. Um,
Yeah, I'd offer a caveat there.
yeah.
Nobody's saying. I mean, a few weeks ago, Jaden Daniels got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I think he
Ribs.
missed one game, but so he's wrapped up tightly. And I watched that kid make hundreds of throws on college tape, and when I watched him last night, I didn't see the same kid. I think he's hurting more than they're telling us.
Okay.
They had one throw, like a skinny post, where he had to kind of fit it in,
Uh-huh.
and it was open. But you got to drive it in between a corner and a safety, and he couldn't get it there.
Okay.
And they didn't talk about it on the telecast, but I was like, wow, that's not him
Mm-hmm.
at all. So I don't think that was him,
Okay.
in all honesty. And in the run game too, he didn't look as explosive. So my eyes are trained, I think, for what he is, and I didn't see it last night. We keep saying, oh, the Eagles have 4 easy games, but then they got the Cowboys, and they kill the Cowboys. And well, now we're going to find out who they are with and then they beat Washington. Their next two games, I think, are at LA.
Rams, yeah.
And I think it's at Baltimore. Is it home at? But
No, it's at Baltimore.
Yeah, so they're on the road next 2 weeks, and the Rams have a quarterback that's all world if you give them time, Matthew Stafford, and really good receivers.
Yep.
And you got to go out to a different time zone and play them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to come home and play maybe the most physical run team in the NFL in recent decades in Baltimore, and that sets up a whole different challenge. So I'm excited about the next 2 weeks. I keep saying I want to see what they show, but they're the number. I think it's time we start giving them some credit.
Yeah, because they are winning, and that's all that matters is that you're winning.
They're 8-2.
Yeah, and they're 6-0 since Nick Sirianni shaved his head.
There you go, Lee. That's what's important to me.
I know. Wait, I also neglected to mention too the other thing that I was obsessed with the defense. How about Quinyon Mitchell on Scary Terry? And just shut down the end. Yep. Not even a factor. Like, that's a rookie.
Yeah, if I wish I had the time to watch, just sit down and spend 2 hours watching that defensive tape today, because I have a lot of questions, including whether or not they really weren't trying to push the ball down the field. Like, I think they mentioned on television early in the second half that he had 9 completions at that point, and 8 of them were tight ends and running backs.
Yeah.
So it tells me, in general, he wasn't pushing the ball down the field. And I'm just kind of wondering, was it Quinyon Mitchell in the defense, or was it more Washington was trying to take care of him? And I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
And by the way, I think a big piece of it is Quinyon.
Yeah.
And Terry McLaurin, after the game, complimented the kid. He said he doesn't play like a rookie, which is a really high compliment.
That's one he can hang on his locker.
I love. We had Terry McLaurin in the Senior Bowl in 2019, and we love the kid.
I mean, yeah, what's not to love about him? Yeah. But last night there's no action there. So.
Yep.
Also, question: Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
I watched some of the morning shows today already. I wanted to see what the mainstream was saying, right?
Yeah.
And they're questioning whether are we still worried about Jalen Hurts despite another win? Their points being that he didn't throw any touchdowns, basically. Enough. But then I was thinking, what we have been saying for the last couple of weeks is that Jalen needs to not do too much. When he tries to do too much, that's when things fall apart. So to me, last night he was patient and he was using his weapons on offense. It wasn't that
Yeah.
we have to be worried about him for not doing enough. What do you think?
I lean towards your assessment.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to come a time when a really good team, whether it's in the playoffs or regular season, but a really good team is gonna come in defensively and say, you know what, we are not going to let the run game beat us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take Saquon to the extent we can out of the game, and we're not going to let Jalen's legs beat us either. We are going to make Jalen Hurts win in the pocket.
Okay.
That's going to happen, but you got to be good enough. That can be your game plan,
Right.
but
You can try. Yeah.
but if you don't have the players to make it happen, it doesn't mean crap.
Right.
So, but at a certain point down the road, a really good defense is going to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think there's so much talent and a good offensive line that if people want to load the box and force him to win, he can win in the RPO game. He can win in the play action game. And ultimately, he's got to win in the pocket and be able to get the ball out. But 6 and 11 are monsters. and I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I just don't think he needs to try to do too much.
That's
you don't
it.
have to make just stay in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
And when the opportunity comes, bang, let's make the throw.
Okay, speaking of new opportunities, how about Jon Gruden signing a deal with Barstool Sports?
You know, the dude makes me laugh. He's so like I clipped on a couple of people have been sending me stuff. Number one, and so then I went on and watched him on Barstool, and like this one guy comes in, and they ask Gruden and he goes to the guy, hey, what's your name? And the guy tells him. He says, what do you do here? Okay. He says, okay, so if I tell you I need a cloud corner.
I watched that.
What would you do? And the guy goes, a clown corner? A clown? And like they're all giggling and laughing.
And then the guy was like, and then someone was like, no, like Gruden said, cloud, like in the sky. Go ahead.
Like in the sky.
Yeah.
I need a cloud corner. He goes, show me what you would do. And the guy's like,
acting like a floating cloud in the sky.
Right. So and then I saw another clip with John and the guys just, shooting the crap, and John talking about how much he loves it because they're talking ball and and there's a basketball court and there's and
he said it was he said it was like a man cave on steroids.
Yeah, like he's such a great fit for them.
It's crazy because all he wants to do is talk about football. That's the only thing.
The energy he brings to any room is mind-boggling, and you can feel it. Mm-hmm. Like whether you're a Jon Gruden fan or not, if he walks in a room and starts talking ball, you're listening because it's not just dry football; it's entertaining. And
that's why you two got along. It's just football. Remember when I had dinner with you with the two of you at Combine, and I tried my hardest, and I feel like I'm really good at like conversing with people, getting them to open up, like talk a little bit about something you normally wouldn't, maybe like give some emotions. I tried so hard to change the topic from football about 97 times in that dinner, and no matter what, it was reversed back on me to football. No matter what.
Yeah, you were pretty annoying that night.
I was like asking him, I'm like, so what do you and your wife do on date nights? And he's like, well, actually, we had to get back for the game to watch the. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. My normal tactics were not working at that dinner. But
look, in a profession of type A, passionate football people, he's at the front of the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be hilarious to watch him with the Barstool guys.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if it's enough to scratch his itch about coaching or not, because I know he wants to get back into it, and it'll be interesting.
Well, I bet if they let him bring, and I watched Dave Portnoy, the CEO of Barstool, he was getting interviewed and asking what they were going to have Gruden do, and basically it's kind of going to be up to Gruden, and so I almost feel like if he can bring back his like. Coach Gruden whiteboard thing, like that might get him enough of the coaching back.
Well, that's what I mean. It'll be interesting because there's nothing like being in an NFL building as far as juice. Just game day's different than as much as I love watching football. When you're officially involved in an NFL building, it's different. And so John feeds off that. So it'll be interesting because he did television for so many years on
Yeah.
Monday Night Football, and he was so good. It'll be interesting to see whether or not this is enough for him because he's 5 years younger than me, and we're both August birthdays. So he's like 61. It'll be interesting to see whether this is enough for him or not.
Do you think he's going to be first one in the building, last one to leave?
I don't know what his schedule is. I just know that no matter where he is, he'll be watching tape.
Are you going to join him?
No.
You're good?
I'm watching my tape. I'm doing my thing. I'm happy.
Okay. Well, so overall takeaways from the game, you're in on these Eagles, is what you're saying.
I'm like, listen, they're 8-2.
Yeah.
I mean, they were 2-2 when we were talking about, okay, bye week came at a good time, all those things we talked about, and they took advantage. At a certain point, you got to go, hey, Nick, hell of a job, man. Hey, Howie, great job. Hey, players, really doing a great job.
Yeah.
So at this point, at 8-2, I think that's where we are. You got to say, defense is getting better. The offense is kind of has an identity now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're a run first team. They run the ball 55% of their offense more than anybody else in the league. That's who they are. And I like that. What's your identity? What do you believe in? What do you hang your hat on? So I love all that. And does it mean that bad things can't happen? No. They got to play their best every week. But I'm anxious. I can't wait for LA and Baltimore on the road the next 2 weeks.
It'll be exciting, and we'll be here to talk about it. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. Enjoy watching BC and apparently the Bulldogs.
Go Dogs.
What do they say? Go Dogs. Is that how they say?
Yeah,
Go Dogs.
I have caught myself once or twice in a conversation saying y'all.
No, you have, Dad.
I almost fell over.
Dad, you need to get home. You need to come back to Philly really quick. Get a little.
I mean, I almost fell over.
That's kind of gross.
It's actually kind of a cool contraction, but it's not it's not Philly.
It's not Philly. We say you guys, and you need to come back here and get a little refreshed.
Well, are you going to say yous guys or you guys?
You guys. I don't say yous.
Well, that's a Philly thing. And what about if you were from Pittsburgh? What would you say?
Yins?
Yes. I didn't think you'd get that. It was like when you were in high school and I said, okay, are we closer to the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans? And you had no clue.
Are you trying to highlight my downfall? Like, this is not the time for that, Dad. I need you to build me up.
Geography was not your strong suit.
Geography and math. It's never going to happen. You can't be perfect. Okay, I'm done here. Okay, I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, bye.